Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. We just ask you to be with us tonight as we conduct our meeting. We just ask you to give us the wisdom and the courage to do the right decisions. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. I'd like to call this evening's meeting of the Jackson City Council to order. I welcome our council members and administration and guests. We will begin with call to order. Ms. Kuhn?
Should we swear him in before I ask for Elliot or not?
I don't think so.
Okay. Foster?
Here.
Elliot?
Here.
Colby?
Here.
Peters?
Here.
Newkirk?
Here.
Crabtree?
Here.
Bob?
Here. Next on our agenda is roll call. Mayor, you have a swearing in to do?
Yeah, you do. We have a new council that's been appointed, and it's Mr. Jeff Elliott. He previously served on council, so he has some good experience that should help us. And he was I don't know if I should say wanted to or willing to join back as a councilman and take the place of John Ondera after he left. So, Jeff, if you will raise your right hand and repeat after me.
Okay.
I, Jeff Elliott,
I, Jeff Elliott,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio
and the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio
and all local ordinances,
and all local ordinances,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
perform the duties of a city council member
perform the duties of a city council member
according to the law and the best of my ability.
according to the law and the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
You're back on council. Pardon me?
Picture now.
Oh, sure. We can get you a picture now. You want a picture of the swearing in? No, I haven't got that. I'll say, okay.
I need to get a picture of him from the website. Do that after.
Thank you, Jim.
And Dan, for council, we now have a surprise special guest coming in. Hey! All right. We're very pleased if you guys come up here. Come on up here. I want you guys right up here on the stage.
Right in front.
This is our Jackson High School wrestling coach, Brandon Oliver. He's not why we're here.
No, I'm not.
But this young lady here is a sophomore at Jackson High School. I'm sure you've all heard, but now you will see her and meet her. Jackson High School started a wrestling program for girls this year, and she's a wrestler. She may not look like a wrestler, but she's a wrestler. So they have a girls team for the first time this year. She went, you might have to help me here, 30 or 31 and 0?
I think it's 33 now.
33 and 0 is her record for this year as a sophomore wrestler. She just came back yesterday from winning the Ohio High School Athletic Association 100-pound girls wrestling championship. I just wanted to bring her here. We're proud to have her here, and I'm going to introduce her and give you all a chance to meet her. And just recognize her for this is a great honor. It's a great honor to be a State of Ohio champion, and she's only a sophomore. So they have still big plans for her. So if you guys want to shake hands with council, go around the room.
Thank you.
Good job.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you.
Coach, good job.
Thank you.
Good job, Coach.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Great job. Thank you for coming.
Alex, guys.
Hey, Coach, don't leave. I have one thing to say.
Yeah.
So yesterday, was very lucky to get the opportunity to watch it. There was 2 or 3 feeds that were given to watch this historic thing, because not only is she, and correct me if I'm wrong, but not only is she a state champion for Jackson, she is the first girls state champion in the history of the state of Ohio in high school, because her match was first. So she will always be the first state champion. But one of the greatest things afterwards, after she won, after they raised her hand, she leaped in the coach's arms. And that picture is everywhere that I've been. But what a great testimony to a coach and an athlete. And that's the relationship is supposed to be, in respect, and they work, and Coach, I think you do a great job.
Thank you.
But I congratulate you. It was awesome.
Thank you so much.
It was awesome.
We appreciate the support. This won't be the last we'll hear from us in July. We're going to win a national title. So we'll see you next
And before we move on to the next, the chair would like to recognize Mr. Elliott. We'd like to welcome him back to council. We know of the past work that you've done, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Thanks.
Thank you. I don't believe we have...
Nobody signed it.
No one signed to speak this evening. So next, on our agenda, we will look at the minutes that we have that were in your packet. Is there any objections or corrections to be brought before council for the minutes? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion.
I'll move to accept minutes.
Mr. Peters, is there a second?
I'll
Ms.
second.
Colby? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Next, we will move on into our committee reports. We will begin with utility. Mr. Newkirk?
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Newkirk. Budget Finance, Ms. Colby?
No report.
Thank you, Ms. Colby. Police, Fire, and Traffic, Mr. Foster?
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Service, Mr. Peters?
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. The audit report, auditor's report, Mr. Reed.
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Mr. Kirby?
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. Chief Hinch?
No report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hinch. Mayor Evans?
Yes, I have a little report here. I don't really have anything to update council on tonight on the projects, but I have a little bit of an in-depth update on staffing in the city that I wanted to share with you all, to get you up to date. You know, we've been working on this for 3 years. We've had various stages of reorganization, we've called it, and council has supported us throughout everything we've tried to do to make positive changes and make improvements, and we really appreciate that. So I just kind of want to, you kind of lose track of where you're at in it, really, with quite a bit of change, and I kind of wanted to bring everybody up to speed, including myself, on just exactly where we're at. Over the past 3 years, we have had numerous positions throughout the city become open due to retirement and various other reasons. And each and every time we have a position become vacant like that, we take a hard look at it. We don't just automatically fill it. First, we look at, do we really even need that position? And there have been many situations where we just haven't refilled the position and left it open. We also try to take a good look at, should we modify the position or change it to meet the current needs of the city, because things do change. You know, things have a tendency to become complacent, but so we just intentionally try to take a look at all of them. And in many cases, we have either changed the job description before we refilled an opening, or we created a new job altogether to better suit the needs. And once again, council, we've created several new jobs since we've been here. The council has always supported us on that, and we appreciate it. But by leaving several positions open and not backfilling them, it's allowed us to create some new positions to better address the current needs of the city. One of them was when we added a part-time code enforcement officer, and I think everyone would agree that that has really helped us clean up the city. We added a full-time position for grants and projects. to help us, get money, and that's helped us bring in over $7 million in the last couple of years for infrastructure improvement money, and that's all money that's not local tax dollars. It's money coming from outside. We have, in the last year and a half, year or so, we've reassigned 2 of our veteran employees to the GIS mapping project. You all supported us on that, and it's really becoming a game changer in dealing with our underground utility locations, which before was just all done by people's memories or an old map if you could find it. We're getting all that on a computerized system now. But anyway, tonight, I'm announcing 2 more changes, substantial changes, that take effect today. We have promoted today 2 long-term city employees into the new position that you helped us create or supported us for recently, the operations manager position. Ron Aldridge, if you'll stand, Ron. Ron is a 24-year veteran employee of the city. He most recently has been the superintendent of the water plant. He's also, for some time now, been the acting superintendent of the wastewater plant, too. He's been pulling double duty for us and doing a great job. Thank you, Ron. And Greg Farr, if you stand, please. Greg Farr is a 21-year veteran employee of the city, who most recently has been the head of department of the water distribution and wastewater collection department. Thanks, Greg. Both these guys started today as operations managers in the city of Jackson. Both of them, in their new roles, will each supervise and manage multiple city departments citywide from out in the field with the following 4 goals. 1 is to improve the services that we provide our citizens. That's why we're here, is to provide our citizen services. And we do a great job of that, but you can always, we constantly strive to do it better and become, and be up to date with these things. 2, the second goal, we want to make city operations more efficient and cost effective. I've talked about that since day one, and that'll always be a goal of ours. There again, if you keep doing things the same old way, you're going to keep getting the same old results. And things do change, and we need to become current in all of our operations. 3, we want to improve public perception and employee morale. We want our citizens to know that we're here to serve them. And we want our employees to know that we appreciate when they do a good job. So to summarize the effect of the staffing changes that we've made over the last 3 years, because I want to summarize this because people think, and I want to make it clear, that we just keep adding jobs. Which means we just keep adding payroll, and that's not the case at all. In 2019, before we were here, before David and I was here, the city had 70 full-time employees. This is any full-time employee in the city except police. We're not counting the police here. Had 70 full-time employees. Today, we have 61. In 2019, of those 70 employees, 10 of them were at a superintendent level or higher in management, meaning a superintendent, the service director, or the mayor. We had 10. By the end of this year, we expect that number to be 6. So 9 fewer employees, 4 fewer managers. The savings of those costs of payroll and benefits for those 9 employees is well over $500,000. And that's each and every year. So those 61 employees are to be commended because they continue providing great service to our citizens. I doubt if anyone would argue that. And to our local businesses. And I doubt if anyone would argue with this also, that we are cleaning up this town and we are fixing up this town with 9 fewer employees and 4 fewer managers. And over $500,000 every year in payroll and benefit expenses. So I want to thank council for your help and support in making all these changes and what I call improvements. Not everyone agrees. Every time we create a new position, someone thinks we're just creating more jobs. I want you guys to know the facts, know the numbers of where we stand compared to 2019, 3 years ago, a little over 3.5 years ago. I also, because it's related to that, I also want to remind everyone that we're currently accepting applications for part-time seasonal employees. This is mostly general labor, it'll be mostly mowing and trimming. We do that every year. And for lifeguards at the city pool. We are taking and receiving applications for those now. Those positions are going to pay a little better in the past. Council has talked about that. For our general labor, we're going to pay from between $14 and $18 an hour for them positions, depending on experience. So, any questions? Anybody have any questions? That's my mayor's report. I just really wanted people to know the facts, not the rumors of what we're doing. I'm really excited about the changes we've made with Greg and Ron. We're very confident that they're going to do a great job. We're excited about it. Any questions? I must have done a good job explaining that then.
Well, we should congratulate them on their
Absolutely. Good job on that. Thanks, Greg and Ron.
questions for the mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Swikamby, Service Director report.
Yeah, we'll just go over a few items as far as project related. Hopefully in the last week, you've seen that ODOT's back working on the signals in the downtown area, hanging some more. Many of the signals that are up are covered right now until they do the completion and finishing the wiring. They right now plan on finishing that yet this month, so those will be done. I did talk to ODOT again around the 93-139 paving that was done last year. They do have their punch list of some items. They look to be starting those in April with the expectations that the asphalt plants will be opening up by the end of April to do some of the patchwork that's associated with that. High Street Bridge project, if you've been down that way, you know it was finished up, but there was some miscommunications on ODOT's side, and they left a large pile of grindings and other items there that they still need to come in and get out of there before possible rain events, and we have some flooding in that area. So all of those things are still going on with the ODOT projects. We are happy to mention that we are still doing curb repair replacement over on the Grandview area. We did our first pour last week. We'll do a second pour tomorrow as we continue to work around the loop over in that area. There's been 2 storm catch basins put in over there to help with the water that always had a tendency to running across the road, and during the winter got very slick over in that area. So hopefully that'll take care of that, and that's in preparation for the upcoming paving season also. That's all the projects I believe we are actively involved with right now. I haven't got any updated word yet on East Broadway, but I know it is also an ODOT early season project soon as the asphalt plants open back up and they get qualified material coming out of there for ODOT. So again, I expect that to be late April, early May for the paving of East Broadway.
Questions for the Service Director? Thank you, Mr. Swikamby. On your agenda next, we will look at ordinances and resolutions. We will begin with ordinance 1023 on third reading. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance for transfer of funds for the Hammertown Lake Improvements Project and declaring an emergency.
Discussion. Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Yes.
Bott.
Yes.
Ordinance 1023 is duly adopted. Next, for your consideration, ordinance 1123. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance approving additional appropriations for project expenses in ODNR paddling enhancements, ODNR capital budget, and city funds for Hammertown Lake Improvements Project and declaring an emergency.
Discussion. Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Yes.
Bott.
Yes.
Ordinance 1123 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, would be ordinance 1323, third reading. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance repealing and amending the City of Jackson's codified ordinance, Section 131.09, regarding riding in police cars.
Discussion. Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Yes.
Bott.
Yes.
Ordinance 1323 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, is third reading ordinance 1423. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance amending and repealing ordinance 08-19 and authorizing a wage increase for the positions of part-time police dispatchers and declaring an emergency.
Discussion. Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Yes.
Bott.
Yes.
Ordinance 1423 is duly adopted. Next, on first reading, would be ordinance 1723. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance approving additional appropriations to the Street and Alley Equipment Fund and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt ordinance 1723 as presented to council? Pardon, Mr. Elliott?
Motion to adopt the order.
Mr. Elliott, motion second? By Mr. Peters. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion. Mr. Swackhammer.
Yes, a couple months ago, council allowed us to apply for a BWC grant in the amount of $40,000. We were successful in obtaining that. This was for the purchase of traffic control devices, and this is to allow this money that, since we've received it, it came into the general fund, get it moved back over to the street and alley fund from which that device is going to be purchased, so that we can go ahead and continue with the purchase of that. I'd like council, if they would please, to allow us to continue that and make a motion tonight to pass it.
Ms. Colby.
I move to suspend the rules.
Motion by Ms. Colby to suspend the rules. Is there a second? Mr. Bob? Discussion. Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Yes.
Bott.
Yes.
Further discussion?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Yes.
Bott.
Yes.
Ordinance 1723 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, ordinance 1823. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance approving additional appropriations to the Tourism Visitors Center Expense Fund and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt ordinance 1823 as presented to council? Mr. Peters? Is there a second? Mr. Newkirk? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion. Mr. Reed?
This money was money that was left over, actually some from the last 2 years' budgets from tourism. You're supposed to be spending, we hand out half of it every year, but with the COVID issue, some people didn't take the money, some people didn't spend it, some people returned it. So this money needs to be appropriated and will get us back online. We always hand out the money that we have collected the year prior. So this money should be handed out by the way the tourism money is set up and passed out this year. So I would ask council to go ahead and appropriate this so that we can get it out this year.
Further discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Peters?
as a member of the Tourism Board. We have another meeting scheduled for next month, so I move to suspend the rules so we can move this money to be reappropriated and distributed as grant money out to the local community.
Motion by Mr. Peters, is there a second? Mr. Newkirk seconds. Other discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk. Crabtree. Bop.
Further discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree. Bop.
Yes.
Ordinance 1823 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration on first reading, Resolution 1623. Ms. Kuhn?
A resolution authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety or the Director of the Lillian Jones Museum to file an application with the Ohio Department of Development for the Ohio Arts Grant Program and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt Resolution 1623 as presented to
Move to
council?
adopt.
Mr. Elliott, is there a second? Mr. Peters? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion. Mr. Swackhammer.
Yes, this is for the Lillian Jones Museum. This is for the right for applying for this grant. I do see that they did not note a deadline for that. If council does not have any objections on their behalf, then I'm going to ask that this go ahead and pass so that we can let them move forward.
Other discussion?
Mr. President, I'll move to suspend the rules so they can apply for the grant.
Motion to suspend the rules. Is there a second? Mr. Bob? All those, I'm sorry. Further discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk. Crabtree.
Yes.
Bop.
Yes.
Further discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk. Crabtree. Bop.
Yes.
Resolution 1623 is duly adopted. Our final resolution this evening, first reading, is Resolution 1723. Ms. Kuhn?
A resolution of the Legislative Authority of the City of Jackson, Ohio, authorizing the mayor of the City of Jackson or city auditor to participate in the new national opioid settlements with Teva, Allergan, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart, and declaring an emergency.
Can I have a motion to adopt Resolution 1723 as presented to council? Mr. Peters, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Elliott, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion, Mr. Kirby.
So this is, about 2 years ago, I think it was, you approved a resolution to participate in the opioid manufacturers suit. Since that time, many of the states, I think most of the states, have filed suit against CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, and Teva, I guess. I'm not sure who that is. If you want to participate in that, we have to approve this, and I believe the deadline is middle of next month, so it'd have to go rather quickly. If you choose not to participate in this suit, you would be free to file suit on behalf of the city directly against these companies, which probably wouldn't be feasible. So if you do want to participate, you do lock yourself out from pursuing them alone, but you do participate in any recovery there may be, as small as that may be when it's all divided up. But that's the point of this resolution, is to get us involved in that.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. Other discussion?
Just for your information, Teva is a drug manufacturer in Israel,
Oh, okay.
originally in Israel.
That makes sense,
Mr. Peters.
The deadline's April 18th. I move to suspend the rules.
Okay. I'll get you in one second, Mr. Reed.
They're going on with, that was the question. My opening comment was that if you don't, then you were entitled to nothing. So,
Is there a second to the motion? Mr. Newkirk, second. Other discussion? Ms. Kim?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk. Crabtree. Bop.
Yes.
Other discussion?
Mr. President, There is no risk to us for joining, correct, Mr. Goodman?
No.
Other discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Crabtree.
Yes.
Pop.
Yes.
Resolution 1723 is duly adopted. Thank you, council, for your work with this. Looking at our agenda, next for consideration is correspondence, and I think Ms. Kuhn may have a few things that she wanted to address council with.
Just another final reminder on the financial disclosure statement. It does need to be filed by April 3rd if you are going to be a candidate for the primary election. If not, it has to be filed by May 15th, and Mr. Elliott needs to file by, what the heck?
I already did it.
March 28th. Okay, there you go. That's all I have.
All right, any other correspondence anyone else may have?
I got a question. Cindy, did you get one or an update from the liquor board, something about an address? Is that something that needed to come back to council?
I just filled it out and sent it back. Council
Okay.
didn't have to do anything with it.
Okay.
Next, then, we'll look at old business. Is there anything that council has to bring forward in regards to old business?
Mr. President, I just have a question about, just to follow up for Hammertown. I haven't had the chance to drive out there. How does everything, like, what's the plan? How does everything look out there?
Okay, following last meeting we had, there were straw bales put around out there for silt collection and runoff, and we do have grass starting to sprout through in the areas that were seeded, and you know, we still hold the position that we had no risk, but we went ahead and took the extra precautions.
Appreciate that, thank you. And then one other question that's kind of came up several times in the last month or so about the Trout Festival. And then being on the tourism board, they withdrew, the FOP withdrew their application for funds from travel and tourism. And it kind of spurred some conversation about stocking Hammertown with different types of fish. It doesn't, I mean, I guess, I wasn't around when the Trout Festival started, maybe I was, but I wasn't paying attention. What was the reason behind putting trout, what was the reasoning behind using that species of fish at that time? Does anyone, is there any other plans? Like, can we stock it with more native fish? Is there any way to increase healthier fish population at Hammertown? And the reason I ask that is because every time I've ever been fishing there, I never caught anything.
You want to address or want me to?
I'll address it.
Okay.
Dan, if that's okay. Go right ahead. I'm gonna guess Ryan's just not a very good fisherman. But I've never fished in my life, so I can't really judge that. But we actually just had a meeting this afternoon with our fire chief, Dave Channel. Had on the phone the FOP president, which is Aaron Urban. And the Trout Festival is not gonna happen. The people involved agree that it just doesn't make sense to spend a lot of money buying trout when most of them are going to end up dead and not caught. So they still plan on having a fishing tournament of some type. They're reaching out to ODNR to see if, since they don't think it's smart to stock trout, will they stock it with something else, such as one of the types of bass. We've also reached out to Jackson High School, just starting this year, a bass fishing team. And it is actually a state, level competition where they fish for bass. I'm not sure what kind of bass, but so we're hopeful that the FOP, they still want to be involved. The fire department, the county fire departments are willing to be involved if the FOP would like their help. They're talking, and then we'd like to get the JHS fishing team involved. There's also an Oak Hill fishing team. Hopefully we'll still have a fishing tournament of some type, and it'll probably be in May instead of April when the weather's a little better. Hopefully they can make it bigger and better than ever. But apparently it's not going to be for trout.
That's the update.
Thank you, Mayor. Anything else under old business? Mr. Bob?
Mr. Swackhammer, I tried to push you into a cleanup last week when the weather was nice. And now that it's freezing again, I just was up to the cemetery this past weekend. Could we incorporate a way that we get citizens to come and maybe, I may have got myself in trouble, but I've put a whole bunch of wood into the dumpster out there that I picked up where all the wind that we've had recently that knocked all the trees down. If we got the citizens to come up and maybe just pick up, flowers that are blown all over the place and just add that to the city cleanup, if that's an option there.
Last week, we did put out a notice around the final date to take the winter flowers and stuff off, which is the end of this month. I've had 2 full-time employees up there picking up the limbs and stuff, as you mentioned, Mr. Bob, as well as a lot of the artificial and the wreath type stuff has blown all over the place. Those are all getting picked up and cleaned up as well.
I was just thinking, if the citizens
Yeah.
come and wanted to step up and do our part too, to help the, limited number of city employees that unfortunately are up there.
Yeah. Anybody that normally maintains grave sites up there, I'm sure if you've been up there recently, you know that grave needs some attention. And unfortunately, a lot of the stuff has blown off of that grave, and we have no idea of knowing where it goes. And in that situation, it ends up in the dumpster that's down there by the building. And, we're going to be ready by mid-next month. They're going to be interviewing a couple individuals already this week to help our full-time employees so we can get a good head start on the mowing and weed eating, whipping, whatever we want to call it, Mr. Mayor, before it gets here on us. But there's still, as the mayor mentioned, applications are still being taken. We normally end up with, during the June, July, early August time frame, enough people. It's that before and after time period that we really hurt. So if there's anybody out there that doesn't mind doing this type of work, but don't want to do it in the heat of the summer, we don't mind helping us out maybe a month in the spring, a month in the fall, don't mind making a few extra bucks. Like the mayor mentioned, we're paying anywhere from $14 to $18 an hour to come help us. The invitation's out there. Please come see us.
Thank you, Mr. Swackhammer. Any other items in the old business? Hearing none, we'll move to new business. Anyone have anything to bring before council in new business? Hearing none, then I believe we have on our agenda for an executive session, so we'll entertain a motion for executive session.
Yeah, I'll move to enter executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee. And I'll have everybody at the table stay seated and excuse the gallery.
Well, I thank you. Then we'll go into executive session.
Second.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Jeff, Mr. Elliott, will second it. All those in, roll call?
Foster. Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes,
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk. Crabtree.
that's what I said to him.
We'll go into executive session. It is 7:38.
That's your shirts.
Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Peters, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Elliott. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion, or those against, same sign. Motion carried. We are in adjournment.